Welcome back, YouTube friends. Last video I got this Genesis running. And it was running good until I got behind a bass boat running about 65. And I got in its prop wash, and I thought I would string this thing out, see how fast it'd go in prop wash, which normally adds a couple of miles per hour to it. Well, the jet pump sucked in that prop wash, over revved the engine, and before I could let off the gas, it blew the engine up. And so I heard it grenade. Not a good day on the lake. Heads off, jugs out. Yeah. I don't think it's supposed to move quite that much. And thankfully I have my paddle. I didn't video any of that, but I got it back. And so the motors blew up on it. This video is of me fixing this blue ski, and I will rewind here in a minute and I'll let you see it getting running. So this morning I went and picked up a ski. I'll cut to that footage. All right, going to pick up another jet ski, Genesis 2000, I think it's a 2000 model, but it's got a good engine on it. It has turned cold outside and ski season is over. So this video is me repairing this blue Polaris Virage. I went today and picked up another ski, and this one, thanks to Luke, and actually thanks to Luke's mother that made him get it out of the yard, I was able to get this ski for free, and it's got an engine in it that's going to go in that ski. And so I'm just going to use this one as parts. But this video, I'm going to back up a couple of months where I start working on the blue ski. So this coming spring, I'll have that one on the water. I'll have this one back on the water, and I'll be videoing the engine removal and replacement of these two skis. When I started robbing parts off of this one, the condition was the starter would crank over and it looked like the starter was turning the flywheel, but the engine wouldn't turn it. Upon inspection, the woodruff key was sheared. The yellow ski needed a flywheel nut and washer, so I robbed it off of this one. The stator cover's off, so we're going to put a woodruff key in it, and I've got a flywheel nut and washer from eBay. We're going to put them in and see if we can get all the parts back on this one. So I've never really taken the time to introduce myself. My name is Jody Cole, and I am a Polaris jet ski enthusiast, but I also am a pastor of a church. I pastor a Gospel Light Baptist Church in Lineville, Alabama. I also work for the county that my church is in as the maintenance technician. I upkeep all the buildings that the county owns. My goal in producing these videos is if you have a Polaris direct injection ski, you can get these skis back on the water. So every unique part on these, I try to go over in detail and show you how to repair them. Even though 2004 was the last year these were made, they're still good skis. And if you get them running right, they're reliable and just about bulletproof. So the flywheel has spun, sheared off the woodruff key. I'll have to get the stator cover unhooked. These things are a booger to get off. The magnet is tight. There we go. Okay. Spin the engine over. I think that's top dead center. I think that is where the woodruff key should be. And it's sheared off. I like to wet sand stuff like this. Much prefer wet sanding than dry. Good. Okay. Clean that off with acetone. Good. Okay. These stators, sometimes the magnets will come loose. If one of them comes loose, it's quite possible that it destroys the stator that's down in there. Then sand all this out. Both of them's clean. I'm gonna go to top dead center or woodruff key on top. And I got a new woodruff key in from SBT. I'll go ahead and place it inside. And this thing is supposed to be able to kind of slide and pivot inside of that semicircle and line up when this is put on without without shoving it out. Okay, now that I can put it on, I'm gonna get red Loctite. All right, I have a massive adjustable wrench that I'm gonna put on the PTO. I don't really want to put all the pressure on this, so I'm going to hold it with my hand as I torque it. And a pretty massive torque wrench. Okay, I got it set to 80 foot-pounds of torque. Okay. Now that's all torqued down. If you'll notice, the crank position sensor's missing out of there. The reason these woodruff keys shear normally is either the engine locks up and it shears it, or something gets sucked into the impeller and the impeller stops quick. The engine stops quick, and then this tries to keep spinning. So normally that is the reason. So we're back together there. Stator cover's back on. All the hoses are hooked back up. My other injectors, the old injectors were fine, but the EMM was no good. And so I sent it off, had Darren Weiss repair it, put it in another jet ski. Of course, I robbed this ski of a lot of parts. And so I'm just putting it back together. So I got an EMM and set of injectors that match from Troy in Utah. Appreciate it, Troy. He's been a blessing to me, sending me parts. A lot of parts that's on this ski came from him. And so several of them that I got from him. That TPS came from a donor ski of his. The water temp sensor, crank position sensor, display, and an LR 503 module. I had to do some work to the solenoid. I didn't record a lot of this that I've done. It's just time consuming stuff that my hands was in here and couldn't get a camera in good. This exhaust pipe came off of a donor ski. So lots of parts. I am now pulling the tank. So on the Virage, you have to disconnect the tank and pull it up into the bow to get the fuel pump unit off. I couldn't record that because it was so far down in the ski, the camera would have been in the way, so I just, you can figure that out. The main thing to remember is this little red pin goes in the plug, and that's the hardest thing to do, is to pull that out. But if you can get your fingernails or power pliers behind that up in there and pull it out, and then push down on the back side of the pigtail, you can pull it out. So why am I taking the fuel pump out of this? The reason is I don't know if the fuel pressure regulator has been, the only way really to clean the tank out good is to pull it up, take the fuel pump assembly out. That lets you be able to get down in there and clean the tank out good. So I'm gonna pull the fuel pump assembly out and show you. Every time I have ever pulled one of these out, it has been down in here. So if I turn this up and shake it, and there it is. If I would have ran this ski with this out of it, number one, it wouldn't have ran well. It would have not got enough fuel to run well, and it would have ran lean. However, if this were still attached in there from the factory, it would have been a matter of time until it fell out. And when it falls out and you're running down the lake, it will, within seconds, cause a lean condition, burn a hole through the piston. Every Polaris direct injection model, you've got to take this out and make sure it's secured properly. The quickest way I have found to take this apart is put some dishwashing liquid, a couple of drops on that, so that it's lubricated. And you could do 2-stroke oil as well. And twist this out. It's easier to take the grommet out, and then we can put that back on. The safest way to do this is to take the 3 screws off and pull the entire pump apart. You won't have to take this off. Then you can just take the white plastic part right here as a whole, flip it over, and do what you need to do here. I keep this kit, I've wrote fuel regulator on it, 1/8 inch NPT national pipe thread, which is what this is, with a 1/4 inch barb. Local hardware store got those. But I keep this kit handy that has the drill and the tap. So you want to make sure that you put it in the right one. We would need it in the return. So on these, you've got sending with an arrow pointing that way, return with an arrow pointing this way, and then D, which I think means displacement. So the valve that goes here that lets air in, as the fuel is consumed, it displaces the fuel and it won't let it come out. It's a one-way valve. So this is the one we want to work on. And when you're doing this, don't let the drill run away from you. Drill slow, and then pull. Once the thread starts, pull backwards, unless you've got a reverse groove drill. Yeah, I'm not going any deeper than that. You're supposed to use a T-handled tap holder, but I'm lazy. Maybe it's not lazy. I think that's good enough. And I don't put any pipe thread on this. I don't see a need to. And I don't go overboard with the tightness of it. I would say between probably about 5 foot-pounds is all it needs. Okay. Good to go. It is 5:30 in the morning and I'm getting a start on getting this fuel pump put back in. I like to get an early start. It's 72 degrees this morning. This afternoon it's probably going to be about 95. So I would rather get an early start. It's enjoyable in the morning to get out here and work. Fuel pump, it runs, so I bench tested it, made sure it pumped fuel, and it does. Fuel pressure regulator works, and so it's ready to go back in. However, I need to clean the bottom of this tank out. That is in the bottom of the tank. Nasty stuff. So we would not have wanted to suck that up in a fuel pump or injectors. I'm also going to take this time to clean the top now that the inside's good and clean. Fuel tank's clean, fuel pump installed, put it back in place. Tank installed, valve cleaned out, ready for fuel. 10 gallons of non-ethanol. I guess you saw the camera fall. Okay, I ran fuel, cranked it over and ran fuel out of this line and got pretty nasty fuel out of just what was in the line and at the bottom of the fuel pump. So now I'm gonna let it come out of the return line. I wanna clean out the fuel injectors. Both fuel lines are back on. I noticed when I was cranking it over that there was a bunch of two-stroke oil coming out of the cylinder. So that means that there is a lot of two-stroke oil that's down in the bottom of the crankcase that needs to come out really before I crank on it. So I'm gonna, instead of putting the plugs in it, I'm just gonna shoot some of this out. I don't want to burn the starter up, but I do want to get as much of this out as I can. Yeah, it's nasty. Two-stroke oil mixed with what looks like water. I'm gonna let the starter rest a minute, and we'll do it again a couple more times to get as much of that out as I can before I try to crank it. Now we're gonna check for spark, and it would help if I had plug wires. I've got 2 sets of plug wires for this ski, so that is good. That's what the plug looks like when you take it out. This is the stuff you've got to blow out. Yeah. will hydrolock every time, and it takes about 5 or 6 tries of this to get it all out. All right, I've cranked on it for about an hour, just getting it to barely pop off, and it just started trying to run. So pour a little gas down the throat. Breather cap on. Hold your finger on this thing again, Samuel. Hold that down so it don't suck air through by it. Okay. Okay. It is getting there. Tell you what, I'm gonna do it again. No, it ran out of gas. It don't take long to run out of gas pouring it down the throat like that, because a lot of that gas is mixed with that junk. Okay. All right, again. Yeah. So there is 2 ways to go about doing what I'm doing, because the crankcase is full of 2-stroke oil and water mixed. You can either remove the engine, take the heads off, take the jugs off, turn the engine upside down, and dump all of that stuff out, clean it out real good, put it back in the ski, put it all back together. Or you can do like I'm doing and just gently get it to fire off as you go, cranking it over, letting it cool in between cranks, letting the starter cool in between cranks. And it takes you about an hour, hour and a half of sometimes even taking the plugs out, cleaning that stuff out of the cylinder when it hydrolocks, put them back in, let it hit again, do it. So doing it this way keeps me from having to pull the engine in this ski. So I've done it several times and it's worked out good. Other than one time the head cracked down here, but I learned not to rev it up too much at the beginning. Once it starts catching up, you can start revving it a little bit, but early on you just want it to idle. You don't want to rev it up much. But now that it's starting to clean itself out, I can start revving it more and blowing that stuff out. So it still hadn't picked itself up, I don't think it has picked itself up, burning the fuel coming out of the injectors yet. It's not going to do that until all that junk gets cleared out of it and it can run and it can breathe through the crankcase. And so, yeah, we're gonna try it again. Okay. It ran better than it's ever run that time. I think it's starting to pick up fuel out of the injectors and start burning them in the cylinder. So it's not relying on the fuel that we pour into it. It's finally just now started burning off the fuel injectors. So it takes a little. I'm putting my hand on the cylinder jugs, make sure they're hot but not too hot. So I'm gonna let it be at that. I'm gonna crank it one more, we're gonna let it cool down, and I'm gonna crank it one more time and make sure it cranks off of the injectors, and then we're gonna take it to the water and back it down into the water, crank it up, let it run for a while in the water, and then take it off the trailer and run it down the lake. So, but looks like it's gonna run. So the ski is angled down. If I had it to do over again, I would have hooked it up to a car and angled it up before I cranked it, because if you can see, there's junk coming out of the, look at that right there. There's a pile of water mixed with two-stroke when I angled it up. I took it to the lake, backed it down, cranked it a few times, backed up in the water. I never could get the fuel injectors to pick up. And so I've got to do a little more to the fuel injectors. It is starting to get cold outside. And so I had other things to do rather than work on a jet ski. Anyway, I will probably have a video of that ski on the water this coming spring, and a lot more work to get done. I'll probably, within the next couple of weeks, have another video of the engine pull and more stuff getting worked on. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you learn a lot from these videos. Until next video, God bless.